Hello and welcome for the first time to Luke versus Hong Kong cinema. I have been waiting to launch this series to kick this off right for almost 2 years. And now it's finally here, I think, I hope. This initially started out as a marathon, a Hong Kong movie marathon. I was going to go through as many of my Blu-rays in my collection of Hong Kong films I'd never seen before. And I think I had about 2 months, and I was going to make this big, long video, and I already filmed the introduction to it and stuff, went to my whole backstory with Hong Kong cinema, and I just didn't use it, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was a big video. It felt like it was going to have to be a series of videos. And things just always get put on the back burner. And of course, now I'm filming this and I'm sat here and it's finally happening and I'm really excited about it. And we're kind of in the middle of a heat wave that's going up and down. And it's been pretty cool this evening. I thought this is the time to do it. And it's my birthday today as well. And I've been kind of hoping to launch this series on my birthday. I didn't quite make it. I watched the first film for this series, so I'm going to be making that the first review. But yeah, things just got in the way. But this is my birthday today. It's like late at night. I thought this is the perfect time to do it. And as soon as I turn the lights on and set everything up, I am sweating bullets. So it's just it's just one of those things I've got to deal with and get on with. But yeah, I filmed this whole introduction, and it's not like me to junk a whole 30-minute video, but because it's wasted time, and I hate wasting time. Well, actually, I waste time all the time because I'm fucking lazy, but I hate wasting productive time. So, getting the camera up and filming and stuff and all that I hate wasting that kind of time. Which you wouldn't think, given how much I ramble and just go on about nonsense, but, trust me, there is a part of me that doesn't like wasting this kind of time. So let's not waste any more time and get into this. And I want to just describe to you what this series will be, what my kind of vision for it is. And then also just give you, as an introduction, my Hong Kong cinema journey so far. So that, if anyone wants to watch these videos, you'll have an idea of where I am in my Hong Kong cinema journey. If you might think that oh, wow, you haven't seen this, or, that kind of thing. So let's just start. First and foremost, going way back to the beginning of when I first saw a Hong Kong film. And to me now, in my head, over the past 3 years, I would say, I've really fallen in love with these films, and it's not really a genre. In a sense, it almost is. And I would say that certain countries, you wouldn't have that. But I just think with the films of Hong Kong, there is a certain feel to them that you just don't get with anything else. I guess you can say that for a lot of other countries, but there's just almost an expectation level for me that is almost always met. Whether it's a great film, whether it's a decent film, there's always that extra level of creativity, and it feels like spontaneity and imagination and entertainment in varying shades. But going back to the beginning, I was not even aware of what a Hong Kong film was. For me, it was just a Chinese film. And so the first ones I would have seen would have been the Bruce Lee movies, which my dad loved and kind of showed me when I was very young. And he gave me the VHS tape of Way of the Dragon. And so that would be my first Hong Kong film, Way of the Dragon, Bruce Lee. And I don't know, it filmed in a way, I don't know, it's hard to describe because I have a long history with that film and don't want to get too bogged down in talking about it. But it's not like I loved it. But I really liked it, and there was something about it that was different. There was something about him that was different. And I'm not going to kind of romanticize the past here. I liked that film a lot as a Bruce Lee film, and then that was pretty much it. And then moving forward as a teenager, with Jackie Chan becoming kind of a bigger star in the West, and kind of Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon. I'm trying to think there was like another really notable one that, well, for me it was Around the World in 80 Days, because I went to see that in the cinema, and he was a big part of that. But I think just generally Jackie Chan just seemed to just seep into pop culture over here. Like, he just became a big thing, and there would be like little specials about him on TV, about his stunt crew back in, Hong Kong and stuff. And for me, again, I had no distinction of like China, Hong Kong, or anything like that. But I knew that he was someone who I found immensely entertaining. So as I became a bit older, I would get a DVD from HMV of like Police Story or the original Drunken Master, and then moving into my 20s, I would kind of watch more Jackie Chan stuff and be like, wow, these films are like unbelievable. But again, still not kind of too much thought about that world or other films. And as I moved into my 20s, I'm not going to grab them all off the shelf because it will be here forever, but Eureka started releasing Jackie Chan films in like the late 2010s. And it was around that time that I was like, well, I should check out some more of these. I mean, first it was the Police Story movies, which I thought like I'd love to have them in nice editions. Rewatched them, thought, wow, this is great. And then I was watching more of them and just thinking, wow, like there's much more. Like to me, it almost felt like there was the Police Story films and a couple of other ones, and that was it. And now I'm realizing there's like the Armor of God movies, there's the Project A movies, and that was another thing actually was the series that I've been doing since 2013, the 1,001 movies you must see before you die. So that series I call the Epic Film Challenge 2. We watched Project A Part 2, and I was just like, whoa, like this is like insane. I thought it was one of the best action films I'd ever seen. And there was another one in there that I watched, I think in 2017, called A Chinese Ghost Story. And I might be able to reach my copy of it, my not so great but kind of nice copy of it. And this one was worth going and grabbing because this to me is such a huge part of my love affair with Hong Kong cinema, I think. And it's weird that this didn't kick it off at the time. A Chinese Ghost Story. So this is the trilogy set from Nova Media. I believe these are upscales from standard def. They look pretty good, all things considered. But I would say that this set, while it's a very nice, lush and lavish set of the trilogy of A Chinese Ghost Story movies, visually it's not quite up to par, which is a shame because they're visually stunning films. But the first one, and this is how I watched The Chinese Ghost Story for the first time, which is why I'm so like wide-eyed with excitement for the upcoming release from Shout Factory of the Chinese Ghost Story trilogy on Blu-ray, like properly in high definition for the first time. There's kind of been some debate over whether or not those will be done in 4K based on some of the wording in the press releases from Shout, but give me just nice high definition versions of those films, particularly the first one. I'll be over the moon. And then Arrow Video are going to be doing that next year as well, so I may even double dip. We'll see what happens. But the way I watched A Chinese Ghost Story for the first time was by ripping a copy of it from YouTube, which was like I think in the wrong frame rate, and then downloading some subtitles. And then I watched it with Connie, and I really like our review of that film. I think it's pretty fun going back to it, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, yes, I knew that Jackie Chan did great action movies and stuff, but this wasn't really an action film. This was, I didn't know at the time, but this was wuxia, this was romance, this was a broad comedy, slapstick, this was horror, this was supernatural. This was a film that was kind of a period film, kind of period Chinese set story, but with kind of 80s style music, not quite like like 80s songs or anything, but just like I don't know, just the way that score is built up and the kind of ballad at the beginning, and it feels like everything at once. A Chinese Ghost Story feels like everything everywhere all at once, truly, and I just love it for that. I've watched it a couple of times since, and it is one of my all-time favorite movies. I just love everything about it, the actors, the performers, the cinematography, the action, from Leslie Cheung to Joey Wong, and then Wu Ma, who I love. But from this film, and whenever I see Wu Ma in a film, I'm just like, I don't know, it hits me warm and fuzzy, which is weird because this is going back only 2017, about 8 years. But I'm very nostalgic for A Chinese Ghost Story for some strange reason. I'm a very nostalgic person in general, but that should have been the point where I kind of dove deeper, but I didn't. And it was these Eureka Jackie Chan releases, and then those dried up very quickly. And then suddenly 88 Films kind of were releasing loads of them, and I collected all of them, and I'm kind of in the process now of doing a big Jackie Chan movie marathon with Connie. We had to kind of abandon it because all my grandparents started dying. So that was fun, losing all three grandparents in the span of 8 months. So we need to get back to that. So that's that'll be kind of its own thing, the Jackie Chan films and stuff. But once Eureka kind of started releasing more Hong Kong films, I wasn't really grabbed by them, really. But having seen something like Wheels on Meals, and I say, oh, it isn't just Jackie Chan who's this amazing like action performer in Hong Kong. There's like Yuen Biu, Sammo Hung, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just these three guys, right? The three dragons, but like it really was the real thing that kicked the door off its hinges, so to speak. I love these analogies. I don't know why, but I would say that it was Bruce Lee who elbowed the door ajar just ever so slightly, but I wasn't interested in kind of that thin sliver of light, beyond the door too much. And then the Chinese ghost story just poof, kicked the door wide open, but still for some reason I wasn't that interested in just stepping through the frame. And it was really, I think, the beginning of going into all of these Eureka releases, once I started reviewing Blu-rays for them, that just pulled the door off the hinges completely, and I just got sucked like a vortex right straight through, and that was it, and there was no looking back, because it was Yes Madam, with Michelle Yeoh, and being like, holy fuck, like there's no Yuen Biu, there's no Sammo Hung, there's no Jackie Chan, and this is just one of the most amazing fight sequences I've ever seen in my entire life. And then Magnificent Warriors, and it's like, holy shit, this is like an amazing adventure film, and the action's insane, and there's these women kicking ass, there's these dudes kicking ass, there's guys like Richard Ng, who's just, incredibly funny, and then there's the Mr. Vampire movies, and what the fuck is going on here, and Lam Ching Ying, and this is so creative and wild and wacky and wonderful, and this is a bit like a Chinese ghost story, but it's slightly different, and it's kind of funny, and it's kind of scary, and it's like all these practical effects, and I was just blown away by the Mr. Vampire movies, and then it was just thing after thing after thing after thing, watching Jet Li movies, going to the Shaw Brothers stuff. And I got the Shaw Scope Arrow Video box set. And what's brilliant now for me is that I've picked up those three Shaw Scope sets at sale prices, just because they're so lavish and they're so beautifully put together. But I hadn't really dived too deeply into like Shaw Brothers stuff. But now I'm at a point where I've watched a lot of Shaw Brothers films from the Eureka Blu-rays, and I can't wait to get into the Shaw Scope stuff. So now it's not like discovering them and kind of getting in tune with the Shaw Brothers style. Now I know what it is, and I want to see more of it. And I have three massive box sets full of films of it. And that's another thing that I'm so excited about this series, is that I've been kind of stockpiling Blu-rays for about 2-3 years. And it was going back further than when I had the idea to do this series. I thought, if I like get enough of them, I could do a big movie marathon. And I eventually scratched that idea. But with a series, I mean, it's unending, And so I have a private list on my Letterboxd, Luke versus Hong Kong Cinema, which is what I just jokingly wrote down. And I thought, well, that could be the title of a series. I have 166 films in there, and those are all films I have on Blu-ray. There's about 15 of them, maybe 20, that I've seen before, but I'd love to do reviews of, like A Chinese Ghost Story, some of the Jackie Chan films. But most of them are from those box sets. I mean, there's other ones I have up there. There's like a Joseph Koo, I don't know how you say his name, box set with like 8 films. So, there's a lot of these multi-film sets, and it just all builds up, and I realize, wow, there's so many I have yet to see. And it's so exciting, because if it's a Hong Kong film, I'm interested in seeing it, no matter what. So I have a couple of Category 3 Blu-rays, which it doesn't feel like it's my thing, but I want to see what it is like, and I want to know more about it, and I'm learning so much through the commentaries on these releases, and that is something that's just been really fun. And I'm by no means an expert, like really, really just a novice at all of this stuff. But I'm loving learning a new thing each time, and being like, oh, that person. Before, really I started getting into these regular Eureka Hong Kong releases, I couldn't really name to you a whole lot of, say, actors or directors from the Hong Kong world. And now I could probably name like 50 of them, and maybe there's a few I don't know as much as the other ones, but I love that. And I want to learn more, I want to watch more and absorb more, and and there's just so many different kind of flavors as well. So I have like the supernatural stuff. I have Girls with Guns movies. I have like, modern set movies, with action movies, like contemporary film, like like Tiger Cage movies, like action films set in modern day Hong Kong that were made at the time. I love the 80s. That is really my pocket, is the 80s films, and specifically I love the modern day Hong Kong set movies, the action ones. There's something about them that's just so fucking cool. But I also love the period stuff as well. And initially I didn't really like, because I got a few of 88's early Shaw Brothers Blu-rays. So there's Hex, there's House of Traps. I haven't seen those two, but the one I did watch was Five Element Ninjas, and just the title alone just drew me in. Five Element Ninjas, and I watched it. I liked it, and I thought the fight scenes were pretty incredible, but I wasn't a fan of the aesthetic, all these sets. It felt had something about it. I'll get to that at a later video, I suppose. But now I've watched enough of them that I kind of like that style now. And I just find it interesting what they were able to achieve. And there's just kind of a dreaminess to those kind of very obvious sets. Though sometimes it doesn't work. Like in The Skyhawk, which is a film with beautiful location photography in Thailand. And then the final fight scene cuts to a very obvious, like daytime just stage set. And it's just kind of kills the ending of the film for me. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at, and maybe I'll do like a video talking about some of my favorites. I want to do my top 10 films I'm looking forward to watching the most in this series, out of all the ones I have that I haven't seen before, and that is going to be the main focus of this series moving forward. Really is mainly just reviewing or watching and reviewing films that I haven't seen before, but I want to kind of leave it fairly open. So it might just be a video where I'm just sat here just going, hey, I watched this film and here it is and let's talk about it, and just a simple review. I might take you with me. It might be a vlog, like a movie vlog style casual video. It might, I might change things up. I'd like to maybe even just do a video just talking about the whole Shout Factory Golden Princess thing, because that has been an incredible thing to witness, the all the news rolling out from that this year. They said it would never be done, and we're now living in this amazing time period. And that's another reason why I think it's really a great time to launch this, is because I can get through some of these films, because we're really about to start experiencing a whole new wave, literally, of Hong Kong classics that are coming from Shout Factory, and then Arrow Video over here as well. And I'm still up in the air about what I'm going to do as far as, do I import, do I wait, but it's just such an exciting thing. So City on Fire is the first one, Peking Opera Blues, Troy Hark, and then they've now announced the Chinese Ghost Story. Hard Boiled is coming, but they're putting that one off, and it feels like they're going to make that one a really special one for obvious reasons. That's another one that's part of the story too, actually, Hard Boiled. I'm glad I remembered that. So, Chow Yun-fat, I've been aware of him and seen him in bits and pieces, but not much, really. He just, one of those people you just know, the distinctive face and everything, and you've seen them. And I played the video game Stranglehold, which is a sequel to Hard Boiled, so that's probably the thing I was most familiar with Chow Yun-fat from, was the game Stranglehold, which is an amazing game on the Xbox, by the way, Xbox 360. During the pandemic, my friend Denzel sent me this Blu-ray of Hard Boiled, and it was the only one he could find. It was, I think, from a Spanish Amazon or something like that. And it was like a bootleg release, because it's one of those films that's kind of locked behind a gate for so many years, as far as having an official Western release in high definition. But it was still watchable, and I remember watching it because it's one of his favorite films. And I remember him watching it, I think, on like video maybe, or DVD, way back when, but didn't pay too much attention to it. But now I was kind of moved by it, to be honest, that he knew that I was like a Blu-ray collector, and he sent me a Blu-ray, and I thought, this is really, really sweet of him. So I watched it, and I just thought, wow, like, what? Like, again, blown away. Like, just loved the Hard Boiled. You could go on and on all day about that film. But it was an action film to the likes of which I've never seen before. My God, it's like a Trump line. But it really was just like a whole new experience, because again, like, you get mired in the, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, or whatever, and then you just get this like the heroic bloodshed style movie with guns and bullets in slow motion, and that whole hospital sequence and that like the last hour of the movie is just insane. And I loved it so much. I watched it again straight away with Connie. Like that's how much I loved Hard Boiled. So again, it's weird that that one didn't kick up more for me either. And now that I'm thinking about it again, there's other films here and there as well. So it's one of those things that it took a it was like a war of attrition. Hong Kong cinema was just it was grasping at me for all these years. Wasn't quite able to grab on. I love these fucking analogies. It's really stupid, but eventually it grabbed the back of my t-shirt and yanked me in. But it took a while. But yeah, like Hard Boiled. And there was a couple of other films. It popped into my head as I was talking about Hard Boiled, and it's now gone again. But yeah, there's a few different ones. Maybe I'm thinking of the Shaw Scope stuff or the Shaw Brothers 88 films Blu-rays. I don't know. Yeah, but there's been bits and pieces, but it was never enough for some reason, and I guess it was just yeah, like Yes, Madam is a special film for me. I think because that was the one that was the beginning of watching and watching and watching, and then the In the Line of Duty movies, Cynthia Rothrock stuff, Jet Li, and yeah, now more recently I've been watching a lot of Chang Che stuff, which has been really enjoyable. In fact, I've got a very big video coming as part of this series, where I'm going to be talking about 8 films from Chang Che, which I'm really looking forward to doing. I've been writing a lot of notes about that, so yeah, a lot of talk coming. I will say, because just for a bit of housekeeping here, I've done a fair amount of Blu-ray reviews of Hong Kong films, and when I do a Blu-ray review, that's like a properly edited production. I've got like clips from the Blu-ray, clips from the extras. It's very in depth. I like to put that kind of effort in when I have the time. The goal of this series is to really be lo-fi and to just have a video I can film and then just upload it, basically. Minimal editing and then just get it up there. So I'm not going to be using clips and things like that. And I feel, part of me feels like I should, or at least use stills. But then I know that it's gonna bog down the nature of this, and it is really just me talking about these films. And maybe I'll do a movie vlog and I'll film the TV, and you can see a few bits and pieces of what I'm watching. But for the most part, it's just gonna be me gabbing on about these films for God knows how long. So if anyone's in for the ride on that one, welcome aboard. And please give me your recommendations and interact with the comments. I love comments. I love just chatting about films in general, and so I'm really excited about just the future of this series. And that intro, that intro is the reason it took me so long to start this, because I had this intro in my head for so long, and I had so many clips that I wanted to use, and that piece of music that's just been stuck in my head since I saw that movie. I thought that'd be a great intro for the series. And once I got the clip, I realized it was such a short period of time before Jimmy Wong Yu just jumps through the air, and then just deciding on what 4 clips and the timing. Like, you have no idea how much I agonized over that, and I'm still looking at it now going, I can still tweak it. But intros to YouTube series are never finished. They're just eventually uploaded at some point. So anyway, I think that about covers it, really. And I've waffled on for a long time, but I just wanted to kind of, again, give you an idea of where I am, and some of the things I enjoy. But really, it's like, I keep finding new things that I appreciate, and I'm excited about seeing more of. And so, like I said, with all the new releases coming out, it's really a really exciting time to be kind of a collector and an enthusiast of these Hong Kong films. Although I will say, we're getting into a bit of worrying territory at this point in time. If I can grab this. So this is a new release, which I was really excited about. Sunset Warriors, the original John Woo cut of Heroes Shed No Tears. Gorgeous release from 88 Films. I mean, just look at this incredible artwork there. Just brilliant. Yeah. This is an AI processed master, Sunset Warriors. Yeah, so we're now getting into that territory where I think corners will start getting cut. And so, as far as I'm aware, there was a German release of this as well, which has the same AI processing on it. So it's not like 88 Films have done this, but they're seeping through the cracks very quickly. Unfortunately, these AI upscales that are so completely unnecessary, and you're seeing garbled text in the background. In the case of that film, bullet shells just being scrubbed from the master completely. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm hoping that we're in good hands with the Golden Princess Library and Shout Factory and Our Video and stuff, and that is an anomaly. But I'm worried and concerned about that, because it just feels like ever since the whole James Cameron stuff, we're seeing more and more of it from different companies, and it's yeah, it's frustrating for someone who really hates AI upscaling and AI restoration on movies. Just leave the movies alone, okay? Like, you don't need to be doing that. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. So it's bugged me. There was like a couple of other films that I've seen. Let me try and retrace my steps. I was talking about Hard Boiled. My friend sent me that Blu-ray during the pandemic. Was it linked to the pandemic somehow? I don't know. Hard Boiled, Stranglehold, Tony Leung. That's what it was. See, sometimes you can mentally retrace your steps. Tony Leung. So I had also seen a couple of films that were in the book as well, that were more dramas, and those two were Chungking Express and In the Mood for Love. I'm really looking forward to going back to In the Mood for Love, because I remember really enjoying it, but being a bit frustrated by it, which I guess is kind of the point. It's kind of a frustrated love story. Chungking Express, I loved, and that opened my eyes to Tony Leung and his kind of charisma. Just the yeah, I don't know. There's something about him, and so with Hard Boiled, it was like you have these. That's yeah. So Chow Yun Fat, just an amazing, charismatic on-screen presence, and him and Tony Leung in the same film together was just like amazing to see. But I had seen a couple of other ones, which were the Wong Kar-wai movies. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you look forward to and interest in at least some of the upcoming videos in this series, which I hope will be an everlong series for the channel, Luke versus Hong Kong Cinema. And that title is really just a throwaway kind of fluff title, but the idea is pretty literal. In my eyes, if it was a perfect world, if I lived in the About Time universe, and I could just kind of go into my cupboard and just close my eyes and go back in time and have all the time in the world to watch all the films I could watch, I would probably want to watch every Hong Kong film I possibly could. Now, in doing that, I probably would end up finding some stuff I really didn't like, and I I have found a few things here and there. I will say this. There are moments in some of these Hong Kong films that I do find really inappropriate. Like, there'll be, oh, there's a chicken's head getting cut off, and someone says, "Oh, well, that was a fake chicken." No, that neck was twitching and bleeding. I mean, that was either the best practical effect I've ever seen in my life, or they just chopped a chicken's head off in close up in the film. So I think if I was to watch like all of the Hong Kong films that was possible, I'd find some weird shit. But then again, you can probably say the same for any country. If you go through and look through all of the films that were made, there's weird shit going on everywhere. But I am, because it was with the Golden Princess thing that everyone's talking about, these 100 and I think 58, 56 titles. And people are like, yeah, I'll get that, and that, but I'm not touching that. Like, there's no way I'm watching those movies, those weird comedy movies or whatever, and like so there will be a limit, and perhaps I've just only watched up until this point the really good ones, which maybe makes sense because these are getting released on Blu-ray, but as opposed to other ones that maybe were kind of left in an archive somewhere. But I don't know. I'm very optimistic about most of the stuff that I watch, and hey, if I watch something that's terrible, that'll just make for a good video, right? So yeah, it'll be fine. I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching again, and like I say, Luke versus Hong Kong Cinema, like, the idea is that I'm just moving against it constantly to get through as many as I can while enjoying them at the same time and taking the time to enjoy them. But for me, I feel like it's not really a fight, because it's an enjoyable thing to watch these films, but it's a pastime that I will engage in, forever, I think. So at the same time, I enjoy taking my time with them, but I feel like I've taken my time a little bit too much, because again, 140 odd films on Blu-ray, I need to get them watched. So this series will give me a good kick up the ass to do it, and I can talk about these films, and we can talk about them. So this is finally the end, I promise. No, you hang up, okay? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.